I'm Simon from the new Mastersounds.
Well, Simon, thanks so much for making the Blip FM sessions. I hope you had fun today.
It's been a pleasure, yeah.
Awesome.
Stressful getting here.
Yes.
But as soon as we got here, it all felt good.
Cool. So you guys have been touring. You guys just released a new album. You're playing the Catalyst tonight, the Fillmore tomorrow. Have you played at the Fillmore before? Or
yeah, we played at the Fillmore exactly a year ago for the first time. And we had Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad opening, who were great. We toured with them.
Yep.
And this time we've got Salvador Santana and his band opening, and then Trombone Shorty and Orleans Avenue is the name of his band.
Okay, cool.
And they're on this whole West Coast, pretty much most of the West Coast run. And we're going all the way up to Seattle, and we finished there. But then we've squeezed
Chicago,
in...
right?
Yeah, we squeezed in an extra gig in Chicago.
Cool.
So if you're in Chicago, you should feel honoured and privileged.
Yes.
Because it was really... I looked at the schedule, and we're going to Amsterdam for Jam in the Dam.
Yep.
And it was looking like Saturday was going to be a day off. And that just seemed like a big waste, because Saturdays are precious. And if we're already over here...
Yes.
So what we're actually going to do is play on Saturday night, and then... is it maybe Friday? Oh God, yeah, we're playing Friday. It's Friday the 19th, right? Then we fly on Saturday, and then we arrive on Sunday in Amsterdam. We have to do a gig on arrival.
Wow.
But we are going to suffer that so that the people of Chicago don't have to wait too long before they see us.
You're a man of the people, so
it's
for
more,
the people.
It's more that it took us so long to break Chicago, like break through the layers of indifference. That like the last few times we've played there, we've managed to get like a good 500-600 people, and it's like I don't want to let that go because it was so hard won.
Yeah.
You know, for years it was just playing to 50 people and feeling like losers. But if you were some of the original 50, then thank you for coming, and I hope you've stuck with us.
Right. So now you're the Web 2.0 guy of the band, if I'm not mistaken. You have the Twitter stuff going. You got the Blip FM stuff going.
Well, it started out that I set up the website with the help of Dan Prothero, who's based in the Bay, and so I sort of know how to manage that. And then I also got into MySpace. I started the MySpace page. Then we started working with Melissa, who's our publicist, and she was reeling off this list of all these things, you know, iMeme, Bebo, Mimo, Nemo, Facebook, Moo, Poo Poo, and they're all seem to be based in San Francisco, something in the water, like, and so she's sending me, she's saying, right, I've set you up a page on Doodoo, and here's the login details, like, right, okay, so there's login details for that and that and that and that. So what I actually managed to do is I do Facebook quite a lot, and I do MySpace, but I'm increasingly getting more into Facebook because I find it quite easy. Twitter, I can't really work it out, and I haven't worked out the point of it, but as soon as I do, I'm going to use it for haiku poetry or something. But yeah, because I run the record label, which is the thing, the sort of the vehicle that keeps the band going. I tend to be more involved in a lot of what's going on than the rest of the band. Not musically. Right. I leave the music to Eddie. Right. He just tells us what to do. And we say yes, sir. But having Eddie there to do that, and having that system where it's not just a committee, is really important. I think. I don't think we would have made any progress if we were a committee. Yep. And I've seen a lot of bands fail because they like the groovy idea of being a committee, and they either didn't have direction or they disagreed. You know. So
Eddie's kind of the music director. Is that musical director?
He is MD.
Cool.
And he produces the music, so like creatively the sound of the music and a lot of the writing and stuff is coming from him. Cool.
Well, love a lot of the riffs. You know, I can't remember who I was chatting with, but we were talking about the fact that you guys actually write bridges. You guys actually have lots of structure to your tunes, and it's phenomenal.
They are arranged. It's funny because at this period, 2010, where we're in our 11th year. The tunes when we play live are probably the least arranged in their history, because we're still playing some tunes that we wrote up for the first album in 2001. But when we first came to the States, we were playing the 3.5-minute 7-inch single arrangements, and we didn't really deviate from them. the thing that was improvised would be the solo.
Yep.
But then when we learned how to jam and we realised that audiences wanted us to jam, which we thought was horribly self-indulgent initially, we got more confident at that. And so now it's almost like the arrangements are always there, but we can kind of dip back into them whenever we've finished fannying about and noodling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
we don't noodle so much, but you know.
But the groove is just awesome, and Pete and I were talking about the importance of laying down the groove, particularly with your kick drum and his bass, and it's awesome to see how tight you guys are, and how how it really I always kind of joke, and I played in a funk band also, that the most important, and as a guitar player, I said the most important guys in the band were the bassist and the drummer, because if you can't lay down that groove, that foundation, you're kind of hosed, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Eddie would not be able to do all his show pony action above a sort of muddy groove.
Right.
So we are creating a nice, comfortable bed of groove for him to strut around over the top of.
Cool.
But see, the thing is, he does like to solo a lot, and really, he's got more into the kind of rock star element, in recent years. But for me, the thing about Eddie's playing is his rhythm playing, is the chicken scratch. In fact, sometimes he's doing 2 or 3 things at once. A little, almost like a muted bass line with that's the stuff I like. The stuff that sounds quite Meters-y, Booker T, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what appeals to me, is when Eddie becomes part of the rhythm section, which he is most of the time. That's when I'm really enjoying it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there's definitely that Leo Nocentelli thing going on from time to time with the meters. Really sort of injecting his, obviously had some influence on his playing, and then you guys have this very distinct sort of UK sound too. That sort of reminiscent of, remember that band Corduroy?
Yeah,
I was talking about those guys and Brand New Heavies. There's sort of that flavoring there. So
I was in a band when I was at college, and we opened for Corduroy, and that was like the most exciting thing that ever happened to me. And I was still impressed by it's twin brothers, I think, the drummer and the keyboard player, and they're both at the front. And that might have been where I got the idea that it was okay for drums to be at the front from.
Yeah, well, Soul Live, they do that too.
But we hadn't heard of them then, see, because they hadn't translated across to England.
Right.
So this is early sort of 91.
Yep.
When I was at college, and it was Brand New Heavies, Corduroy, Mother Earth, Galliano, and James Taylor Quartet were the bands that were doing pretty well, crossing into the mainstream slightly with some of the stuff. And I was just a wide-eyed, sort of hungry musical novice.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're a novice anymore. I mean, that was such a treat for me back in the control booth here, just kind of mixing everything down. But anyway, I know you guys must be exhausted and want to get ready for your next show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
It was so much fun to have you guys here, and I hope to see you tomorrow night. I plan to be there at the Fillmore.
At the Fillmore, yeah, we'll see you there.
Cool. All right, man. Hey, thanks. Safe travel.